G'day everybody, welcome back to another episode of Crafted by Tim. I know this was a sort of a different intro, but I don't know. I thought I would make something interesting. But anyway, so it's currently March, and I would like to remind myself that I don't have very much money, so for the month of March, I'm going to do sort of a no money March, and I'm going to try and just do the best projects that I can whilst spending the least amount of money. I hope you guys enjoy this build of the thing that I'm going to do, because I need a place to hang my guitar. So this is a classical guitar. I haven't weighed it, but I can tell you that it weighs like 1.5 kilos or something. They're not heavy. Mind you, if you did do this with like an electric guitar, this particular type of stand, you might have to change a few things. For instance, the depth of the keyhole on the back and stuff like that. So you're going to have enough meat on the back of the hook to be able to hang your guitar without it falling down and getting damaged. But anyway, without any further ado, let's get on with it. So, what I've got here is a nice piece of shear. Now, the nice thing about shear is that it's actually really light. So this is going to, and it's also a very nice looking timber, so this is going to make for a really nice project. Now on this side we have a bit of some gross part, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark an inch on that side, and inch on that side, quote unquote scriber. And I'll just go over the line. I'm cutting it on the bandsaw. Alright, so this is where we're at now. Got a pretty close to finished item. All we need to do now is more or less just finish it, and we'll also need some way of hanging this on the wall. Now of course you could just put a hole all the way through and a screw, something like that, but of course the good way to do this is to put a little keyhole slot in the back. And to do that, you're going to need a very specific thing, which is this little tool here. Now, I'm not sure how well this thing's going to focus. There you go. So this is a, I believe it's called a keyhole router bit or something like that. Just get the size for the top. So it's got a 12mm, half-inch, sorry. It's got a half-inch head there, and then the base, the rest of it is about 7mm, or just over a quarter of an inch. I'm gonna level with you guys. Last time I used this, the router that I was using exploded in my hand. Now it wasn't too bad. I ended up with a few little cuts and stuff like that. But I don't like routers. You haven't seen me use routers very much, and that's because I absolutely hate routers. Don't get me wrong, the idea of the router is awesome, and I love table-mounted routers because they're less scary, and that's what it really comes down to. But handheld routers like this, these things are scary as hell. Got into doing this sort of stuff. I was very much afraid of loud tools, as you normally are. If you're new to this sort of thing, when you hear a loud tool, you're always very worried about it because, you know, loud generally means fast, and fast means things go wrong really quickly. And it took me a long time to warm up to an angle grinder, probably longer than what it should have, but routers are still something that I'm not quite there yet. I still find pretty damn scary. When it comes to routers, a lot can go wrong very quickly. It's very important that when you're using a router to just take your time and be very mindful of what you're doing. I don't like routers, so it's probably my least favorite thing to do. Routers are very cool, don't get me wrong, and the applications that you can do with routers are incredible. I'm sure it'll be fun, but it's not my favorite part of any build ever. Anyway, so I'm going to do a little bit of a practice run, and then I'm going to see how well this thing works. So I'm ready to do this. This was the first one, by the way. As you can tell, it didn't go great. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a hole in there. It's a 12mm hole, fits the tool nicely, and I've got the fence set up, so it's going to run right along this edge, and I'm going to figure out where it's going to stop and mark it as well, so I know when I can stop this madness. And let's do this. Whoops. Okay. It's probably not the nicest keyhole that you've ever seen, but let me just grab a screw and see whether or not it still works. There we go, that's a decent sized screw, and look, it works. You know, it's definitely on there. You know what? It worked. Can't be too upset with it. It did work. Although it was like really aggressive. It just... I don't even know whether or not I did wrong, or whether or not this thing's just like absurdly aggressive. But, you know. For the most part it works. I guess now we can finish it. So the thing that I wanted to use to begin with was boiled linseed oil. Now, boiled linseed oil and tongue oil to a degree are those options that people don't want you to remember. Things like that are incredibly cheap, and they're easy to apply, and you know, anyone can do it. So big companies like this, and companies that make money off boiled linseed oil will often put these sorts of things at eye level. Polyurethane coatings, that sort of stuff. There's already a brush that's been absolutely destroyed. That's another reason why I don't like using this, is because before this was a nice flexible brush, and as you can see now it's like gammy and gross. But remember, if you're ever finishing off a project like this, you don't have to go for polyurethane or anything really particular. Polyurethane is good if it's going to be outdoors and stuff like that. It gives a very good... it's very durable to weather and weathering. Was definitely a fun little project. Yeah, actually pretty cool. I actually really like the way that it turned out. So yeah, nice and easy project, and it holds both the guitars really well, the Fender as well as this one. And the other thing that I was going to mention is that something else that you could do, and I'll probably do this next time, is, well, if I were to make this again, I would probably line the inside of this little hook with felt, and that would help, you know, it would make it a little bit easier to put it in, take it out, and less chance of scratching up this area. But even then, it's still wood on wood, and it's not very hard. It's not very likely to scratch your guitar anyway. So anyway, nice, easy, fun project. It took, well, it was actually probably about 2 hours worth of work. Mind you, putting in this, the dowel in the back, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do to begin with, and because of that I ended up doing like this whole roundabout way of eventually settling on putting the dowel through it like that, for no other purpose other than it looks kind of cool. I'm not sure whether or not it would really do much for strength. It sure does give it more surface area for the glue to bond to, but you're now using more glue than you were originally. But nonetheless, still a cool idea, cool concept, and relatively easy as well once I figured out what it was I was actually meant to be doing. But anyway, I think that pretty well does it for this week's episode of Moneyless March. Join me next week when I make a phone charger. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay safe, happy crafting, and as always, cheers.